Hi everyone, I am Hannah, and today I wanted to tell you about my Starseed story. This is a video that I have tried to film so many times, and I think I have filmed it a couple times, but I just have I've never posted it, and I don't know why. It's just never been exactly what I wanted. So I feel like that is the first thing that I want to share on my new channel. So here it goes. So basically, when I started learning about tarot and I started learning about being an empath, it really I fell down a YouTube rabbit hole, for lack of kind of a better term. I was researching different, videos on what being an empath was, and it kind of I just kind of fell into these different channels of awesome people who were talking about spirituality and metaphysical things. And then I started getting into videos where people were talking about starseeds and aliens, and I had never really given aliens much thought. For me, I grew up Catholic. I grew up considering myself more spiritual than religious. I had, taken the time growing up to kind of learn about other religions. I was fascinated by Hinduism and Buddhism. But the idea of God and the idea of heaven and God and gods and all of that stuff I had never made the connection to like cosmic beings and other beings from other planets or other dimensions. I had never really, considered that to be within the same realm of realities, I guess you could say. Even though I was raised Catholic, I never had a connection to angels too much. I still really don't. I get that there's people who feel like a very strong connection to angels, but I felt more of a connection to saints, to be honest, and just to God, to like the greater universe. And I really just kind of felt like, aliens didn't really fit into that. And I never, like I said, gave aliens much thought. So when I started watching these videos, and I'll link a couple of them below of just different channels that were talking about ET contact and hybrid children, I was like a little scared at first and also a little bit fascinated. I also was like, I never really gave a thought to whether or not I believed, in aliens. And I was always open to the idea that there were other living beings on other planets, because really, we cannot be the only people out there. That is ridiculous. So from that perspective, I was like, yeah, there's probably other beings out there. There has to be other life forms. The end. And then, once again, started watching these videos, and I was like, there are people out there that really believe that not only are ETs real and that there's contact and all this stuff, but that, that it's part of a spiritual belief that, these ETs are, in direct connection with us, that they exist on other planes, that we may have, a higher self that's from another planet or solar system or whatever, or from another dimension. So it really opened up my mind to it when I was first, watching these videos and researching and learning about it, and the term starseed kept coming up. So I think the first thing that really made me believe was just how much the term starseed resonated with me. And I wish I could tell you what video or what I was reading that where I came across the term and what it meant. But, you know, really it struck such a deep chord with me. And it basically, I mean, I can read them. I'll probably find a real definition of it. But in its essence, a starseed is someone who just feels homesick. They feel like they don't belong here. They feel like they have come to this life and this planet from somewhere else, and you know, they have always felt difficulty integrating to Earth and around other humans and in humanity. And that was like so shocking to me that other people felt this way, because this was something that I have secretly thought and never voiced since I was very, very, very young. And so I did always kind of feel like on the fringe, and kind of also like I was observing everything. Like when I was younger too, a lot of this goes back to when I was little, but you know, I feel like I learned so much just from observing other people's behavior. None of it came naturally to me. I was like, you know, a total weirdo doing my own thing. I think my like best friends when I was little like just kind of understood and knew that about me. But everything that I did do that was like normal, I was a learned behavior that I was learning from other people. So feeling out of place was definitely a huge thing. And then, you know, just kind of feeling like I would like purposely kind of isolate myself because, you know, I'm introverted, I'm an empath, and when I was younger, I just like would always feel the need to kind of step back from the group and spend some time alone and to recharge. But then I would have this feeling of like feeling left out or feeling like I wasn't part of the group because I needed to take that time away. And that was even within my own family, you know, like I also kind of felt the need to like be asked to like be included in something instead of just including myself. So there's a lot of different like levels to it, and I really can't get into all of it today. But at the end of the day, you know, that feeling of kind of not connecting with humanity and kind of seeing things from a different perspective is a huge part of being a starseed. And the other huge part is feeling like you miss a place that you've never been. So that feeling of being homesick for somewhere that, you know, you're not really sure if it even exists. And like to me, that just resonated so much. I really felt like I did, you know, miss somewhere else. And I, even up till recently, have had like my dreams are, they fascinate me. Not to be like, ooh, look at me with these fascinating dreams. But my dreamscape, I guess, like the dream world, is often like these places that don't exist on Earth. Like things just look different, and I've had a very select few dreams, but they've been very powerful, where I would wake up and I'd actually be crying. And the first couple times it happened was really weird, but I, you know, would have this dream and I would wake up and I wouldn't be like crying from a night terror. I would be more kind of like sobbing, or I would wake up and I would have been crying, but while I was sleeping, not when I woke up. And it was always like this deep-rooted sadness of missing that place, but also being upset that I woke up because I had to leave. So that was like crazy, and for a little while it was happening a lot, where I would just kind of wake up and be crying, and those dreams were always very vivid, where I was in like this. Okay, so my camera cut off again. But anyways, so I would always be in these beautiful places that looked, vastly different from a place on Earth. And like, I don't remember everything, but and sometimes there would be people from my own real life in the dream, but the one like common factor was that the place didn't look like anywhere on Earth, and I would always wake up with this sadness. What? Okay, I'm done. Okay, with this just sadness because I had to leave or because I woke up. And I'm trying to remember like the first dreams that I had. There's been a couple where I'm like always on a beach, and but the beach is strange because like sometimes there isn't really like land. You're like on a beach, but it's like almost immediately like ocean, and you're kind of living in the water and on the land at the same time, if that makes sense. And the one beach that I remember dreaming about, it just was white, but it wasn't sand. There was like these very like big flat rocks on it. I guess, I don't know. And there were like mountains and everything was white, and like very dry, but there was still, it was like kind of having a desert, but then also having like water in the middle. And then I remember one dream where I was in kind of like it looked kind of like a medieval town castle thing, where you have like those little windy like cobblestone roads, and then there'll be like stone, like, wall, like half walls, so you can kind of like see the different levels as you're walking, let's say up the hill to the castle. It's really hard to describe, but basically there'd just be like all these shrubs and trees kind of within the little gardens, and there was like these stone walls, and I just remember watching this like sunset, but the sun was like huge and red, and it was so close. And I just remember us all like at this castle town, and seeing this huge red sun, like nothing that we would ever see here. So yeah, and I think what's kind of solidified it is less about the dream and more just about my like visceral reaction to it, and how I just felt so homesick waking up from these dreams. And I just was so shocked that there were other people out there that kind of felt the same way and felt like they're out of place. Because I do have to say that there's a difference between just feeling like you're an outsider and feeling like you're out of place, from feeling like I literally feel like I don't belong on this planet. Or that I am not a human. Like, if you are the kind of person that connects more with like an animal or animals or something else other than other people, like that's something that is a lot more difficult to put your finger on than just like, oh, I'm a nerd, or I'm a gamer, or I'm this, or I'm that, and I get along with certain people but not most people. Or I'm a recluse but I still identify myself as a human being. So there's like subtle nuances in it, and I do like it. I just feel like when you hear the term, you either will identify it with it immediately, and it'll just be this like deep knowing within you that you're like, okay, that is me, I get it, I totally know what you're talking about. For those of you that maybe don't get what I mean by just knowing you're a starseed, think about yourself and think about what color eyes you have. I have brown eyes. And just imagine that one day someone came up to you and was like, wow, you have really pretty blue eyes. And you're like, no, my eyes are brown. And then everyone kind of started coming up to you and was like, your eyes are blue. What are you talking about? Your eyes are blue. And you're like, no, I know deep within myself that my whole life my eyes have been brown. That is who I am. And, you know, even if I wear color contacts, or even if you take a black and white photo of me, I will know that my eyes are brown. And, you know, it's kind of like that just like innate reaction where you're like, no, that's not true. You know, my eyes are brown. It's just a simple fact. And it's not really negotiable. And even if I close my eyes, or even if, you know, you take, like I said, a black and white picture of me, I'll still know that my eyes are brown. Even if I don't look in a mirror, I know my eyes are brown. So that feeling of being like, no, I know the truth about myself, and no matter what you say, I know the truth. I don't have to look in a mirror. I don't have to prove it to you, because I just know the simple fact about myself that's been the same my whole life. You know, or let's say another one. My hair is black, but I bleached it and I dyed it and now it's blue. But I know deep down my hair is black. And if someone were to tell me, oh no, you like are blonde and like whatever, I'd be like, no, actually, like I know my hair is black, whether or not I like it, it's always gonna be black and it's never gonna change. I could shave all my hair off, I could bleach it, I could dye it, but at the end of the day, it's always gonna be black. Don't have to look in the mirror, you know, la da 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 da. It's black. And so that kind of, that like knowing where like you know it, so to be like such a solid truth that you're like, this is a non-negotiable, like I'm not going to sit here and argue with you. I know the truth about myself, the end. That is the feeling that I got about being a starseed. I was like, okay, I know this is true. It's like you're telling me my hair is black. Like this feels so true and so right and resonates with me on such a deep level that I'm like, I don't care how crazy I sound. This has felt more true to me than anything I've heard in the last 5 years. And it, like, you know, I could listen to 100 conspiracy theories and be like, oh no, those aren't true, blah, blah. And then you tell me about this and I'm like, I don't care how crazy it sounds. I don't care who I have to prove it to. I don't have to prove it to anyone, honestly, because at the end of the day, I feel it in my bones. So that was a huge, huge awakening for me, because what it did was it just completely opened up my like sense of what I could personally believe to be true, because like I said, I was a person who was kind of like, aliens, whatever, blah blah blah. I don't really believe it, but I didn't give too much thought to it. But when that line of like what I considered to be true was all of a sudden like pushed out further, all of a sudden I had to like reconsider so many different beliefs that I had. And I was like, if I know that like being a starseed is true for me, then what else is? And it just kind of opened my mind to new questions. So I felt like it was important to kind of research more, and there's really not a lot of material out there about starseeds. And like there is and there isn't. It's a little bit hard to find, sometimes like mixed in with other things, and so it's just not like an easy thing to kind of research. And I stumbled upon some more YouTube channels that talked about it, and I found this really cute video that was made to kind of discover like where your starseed origins were from. So because I didn't have like too much exposure to like different kind of like ET races and stuff, I, you know, didn't take it too seriously, but I was like, you know, I'll just do it, haha, whatever, no big deal. And I will put the link to that video below. But I took the quiz, and it's just like a very, you know, simple kind of surface level quiz, and it is really cute the way that they did it, and it's and I didn't think that it would really work, but it's just unbelievable how like spirit will work in these almost funny ways, like in, like if you don't take it too seriously, it can come through in such a fun kind of playful way, and I think that that's great. But so basically the quiz, it's on YouTube, was like, okay, you number your paper like 1 to 30 or something, and then you're just going to be shown pictures of the different constellations, and you will, if you feel anything when you look at it, then that might be, okay, so basically you just look at the pictures, and if you kind of feel like, ooh, like I resonate with that solar system, or, and nothing's labeled, so you don't know like the names of the constellations when you look at them, but it's just totally on like instinct, and you just kind of like, oh, I like that one, I don't like that picture. And it's a little hard because like some of them are literally just like sketches, so you know, I was like, how can you really know by just looking at a like line drawing of a constellation? But anyways, so I was like, I'll just try it and we'll see what happens. So I numbered my paper out, and I was like, okay, like let's see if any of them works. And before I even pressed play on the video, I like instantly, like, I feel like it was a Ouija board. Like my hand just like moved on its own to a certain number. I'm not gonna tell you which one in case you want to take the video. And I was like, this is it. And I like stared at my hand, and I was like, oh my god. And I like have the notepad and all, it's just numbers right now, and I hadn't even started the video. And I kind of like had my pen on the number, and I was like, that's weird, and I like circled it, and then I kind of went, okay, is it any of the other numbers? And I like tried to move my hand up to like one of the other numbers, and it like instantly like just snapped back to that number, and I was like, okay, that's weird. And so I started the video, and like they show you the picture of each one like for like 5 seconds, and I just like, I immediately got impatient, and I was like, I don't want to see this one, like I want to go to the next one. And I watched the first 3, and then I was like, okay, this is ridiculous, and I just like fast forwarded it to the number that I had circled, and I was like, yep, that's it. Like took one look at the picture and was like, that's it, that's exactly it. And I like forced myself to watch the rest of the 30 pictures, and I was like, no, none of those really do anything for me, whatever. So then at the very end they tell you which is which, and the one that I had chosen was Pleiades. And I know that's a pretty common like starseed origin for some people. So I was like, wow, I've actually heard about this, this is crazy. So I was really excited, and I was like, that was insane, and I never expected to have that reaction where like my intuition was like, yo, move your hand right now, like that is you. So I was like, okay, I am going to see if there's other videos out there about the Pleiades. And so the first video that I found was actually like a NASA video, so it was kind of like not, you know, metaphysically, esoterically inclined. It was purely scientific, and it was these guys, and they were in some space thing, telescope thing, and they were checking out Pleiades. And so like the background of the video, they're like, oh, you know, telling the story about the Pleiades, and you know, it has its background in Greek mythology, and they're talking about the stars, and they're in the telescope, and they're like looking at the solar system and all this stuff. And the scientist in the video goes, okay, so, you know, when you're looking from the northern hemisphere or whatever, you like look up in the sky, and you know, this was forever ago, I think this was like over a year and a half ago, and he's like, you find Orion. And then right when he said like how you find it in the sky, I literally thought it before he said it. And he was like, you like look up to the North Star, blah blah, and then you like look up to the right. And I was like, and then he said it, and I was like, did I just say that out loud? I really just said that out loud before he did. And I was like so freaked out, and I was like, how did I know where it was located in the sky? Like, I don't think I've ever once looked up in the sky and I was like, oh hey, there's Pleiades. But it just like came to me so fast, and so that was like the second indicator that I had a connection with the Pleiades. So, you know, after that all happened, I was just, it really just kind of like solidified my belief in the connection that some of us have to our starseed origins. And it, you know, I know that it does kind of sound really out of left field, but some of the most like amazing things are, and you just can't really always know, like no one's ever gonna know everything that's out there. And I am happy that this was like proved to be real for me. So the kind of funny thing is that ever since that kind of initial discovery, I haven't really connected with, you know, the Pleiadians or Pleiadian energy too much, since kind of like figuring out my origin. And I feel like maybe that time hasn't come yet. I haven't tried too hard. I feel like the time will come eventually. But, you know, I'm happy that that was kind of the catalyst that made me research and understand ET beings and hybrid children, and maybe that was the point. Maybe the whole point of me finding out my origin was so that